Good evening, everybody. What's up, DD fam? Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday Night Mailbag episode. I am your host, Brandon, and I've brought on one of my good friends that we've now learned over the last year. He's one half of Trending Fantasy. He's 1/3 of the Dynasty Theory podcast. Mitch Sorenson. Mitch, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. Had youth football all day long today. Got home about an hour ago. Already dealing with work phone calls. So like it's just a normal Saturday in the Sorenson household. But I'm ready for the show tonight. We have great questions already, so I'm excited to hit it.
Yeah, man. I've been out all day too. It's been one of those. It's the end of summer up here in Connecticut. We got school that starts this week. So last minute to-dos with back to school stuff, all the fun stuff that I'm sure you as a dad, you just know it's school time. So we're all chomping at the bit for kids to go back to school. But yeah, we're going to get into the questions because people really just don't care about our pleasantries. They don't care about back to school. They're just like, hey, it's football, right? Week 0 college football's here. We've also got the final week of the NFL preseason happens. So we'll discuss some of those. We'll discuss some of your questions. So if you have questions, make sure you leave them in the comments. Leave them in the comments below. We'll try to get through them. We're going to be on for about an hour, probably longer. Who knows? We're going to have fun. Everybody knows the Saturday Night Mailbag show's got just a little bit of a free-flowing vibe, but we're going to jump to the first question that our friend Shane dropped to us. What's the biggest false flag of the offseason, Mitch, that you have seen so far? I.e., what has happened that we're maybe overblowing just a little bit?
It's tough because I think you could definitely go with a fantasy take on this, right? Like, hey, we already have it in the chat. JCM is talked about every 2 seconds. Good old Bill. He's doing great. You could talk about a player take, something like that. The one thing that I'm really considering this time of year is we've talked a lot this whole offseason about, hey, the rushing game is back in the NFL. There's been a lot of that 2 deep safety. Teams love it. But defenses catch on to this stuff really quickly. So while the 2 deep safety was what everyone played for the last 3 years, now they saw all the good offenses can run the ball extremely well. So does that mean now that teams will get out of that look and into something else? We've seen this multiple times. The Tampa Bay cover 2 was huge until teams started to beat it. Seattle's cover 3 was huge until teams started to beat it. And now we saw everyone kind of knew that the rushing game is how you beat it. And defenses were like, hey, we're just going to let people methodically go down the field and they'll mess up. Well, the problem with that thinking is the NFL has turned in so much of a college game now to where they're throwing high percentage passes with good running backs. And the defenses are going to have to catch up. And this could easily be the season they do. And if they do, then how much is that going to hurt all of us that are drafting running backs higher than what we ever have previously? So I'm wondering if the biggest false flag that we've had is we're just being like, nope, running backs are back. The running game's back. We're going all in on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I almost wonder if the biggest false flag that we've kind of had of the all season is that like this rookie class isn't going to produce fantasy relevant pieces, right? Like everybody's kind of just looking towards 2027, right? I've already seen the sell your 2026 picks for 2027 picks. I've already seen the, this 2025 class isn't good, or it's only got the RBs, but like Cam Ward is QB 14, right? Like Jackson Dart's going to probably start at some point this year. Like he's probably going to be in the top 20, 25 quarterbacks, right? Like we all know what the running back class is. And we all know what it is. Like Ted McMillan, if they move on from maybe Adam Thielen, Tech could see 125 plus targets and could easy be in a conversation, Mitch, at the end of the season where we're looking back and we're like, man, he had top 12 upside and we just didn't want to believe it because it was Carolina, right? You got the Travis Hunter situation, right? We got the tight ends. Like I think the biggest false flag, at least for me at this point right now, is maybe the 2025 class. Like maybe we overblew the fact that the 2025 class isn't bad. It's actually going to be pretty good.
I mean, really. So I was trying to move Travis Hunter for the past week. And Travis Hunter, I think, is like that linchpin for this class. If Travis Hunter is very good, then everyone will look back at this draft class being like, oh, hey, this was actually a great one. But if Travis Hunter ends up not being good, then I think everyone's going to be like, oh, T-Mac isn't that great, and it's just going to go down the road from there. So no, I completely agree. But I think Travis Hunter is going to be an absolute stud. So the funny thing is you can't really move off of him right now because so many people are in the wait and see mode with him. Like week 1, if he goes out and has 11 targets, like his price is going to go through the roof. But if he's out there for 30% of plays and gets 3 targets, then everyone's going to be like, you know what? I told you so.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I kind of feel like it is, right? Like it's just going to be I told you so, right? Like I think we've gotten to that point in fantasy where it's just like, it's either this side or this side. It can't be like,
yes,
maybe it could be like, we just got to
kind
of like, maybe just let it play out and not just let it go for a couple weeks. So let's talk about your Lions.
Okay.
And we had a question about it. So I want to talk about it. You're a big Lions fan. You got the Lions hat on. You brought it. You're representing the Lions. But with the Lions losing their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator, right? Similar to the Eagles 2 years ago. What are your thoughts this season? Well, let's just talk about your Lions. Well, how are you feeling going into the 2025 season?
I'm really happy I'm on the show with you too, because I want to hear your take on this, because it's hard for me because I'm a huge Lions fan, but also the Lions have been terrible for so long. So you could always look at them in the negative light as the Lions fan. And so it's one of those things to where I look at Ben Johnson and I say, Ben Johnson walked into probably the best situation that an offensive coordinator could have. He walked into a top 3, top 5 offensive line. His first full year as an offensive coordinator, they got Gibbs. He was just blessed with skill position talent all around him with a veteran quarterback who, well, whether you like Goff or not, we know he's at least an above average NFL starter. And then you look at it, so how much of it is Ben Johnson, or how much was it you could put any other coordinator that wasn't completely terrible? Is he going to be just as good as Ben Johnson? I don't know. So that one for me is really tough. But going into this season, it's not even the offensive coordinators for me. It's that offensive line is not a top 5 unit anymore. I don't think it's a top 10 unit. When Ragnow retired, they're going to move Glasgow over to the center, but he's already injured. They're starting a rookie at guard and pretty much another rookie at the other guard position. It's a second-year guy, but he didn't get a lot of playing time last year. And so I really think the team goes as the offensive line goes. If Ben Johnson walked into this offensive line, do I think he'd be the Ben Johnson that we talk about today? I'd say no. And it's so how much and we do it with coaches and things all the time. Like how much credit does a coach get when he has Josh Allen? A lot, because they end up getting hired as head coaches, because how many guys did Peyton Manning get hired? But how many of the coaches ended up being good at the end of it? And so with the offensive and defensive coordinator, I just think so much of it is the talent on the field. Yeah, I mean, there can be some that kind of ruin it. We kind of saw what happened with Atlanta with that last coaching regime, right? We saw how talent cannot be used in the best way. But for me, I just feel like Ben Johnson walked into such a good situation that everyone's like, oh, you're losing such a huge piece. When I'm like, I think a lot of it had to do with the head coach and him putting those people in the right positions, and Brad Holmes creating that team around him. And so I don't think the team is going to win as many games as they did last year, but it's because they are playing a hell of a schedule this year. I mean, they are playing the who's who, and a lot of those games are on the road. And so I think they could end up being an 11-win team, but actually being a better team than what they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, so here's where I think you touched on the point that when you asked me, hey, how do you feel about this whole situation? Like at the end of the day, Dan Campbell's still the head coach. Like, so from a coaching perspective, like if Dan Campbell truly is the coach that we all believe him to be for the Detroit Lions, they're going to be fine, right? Because he's usually the calming presence, and he's usually the guy that the guys want to work for, the guys want to believe for, right? Like, yes, Ben Johnson, like losing Ben Johnson, that hurts. Losing Aaron Glenn, that hurts. Like there was a level of consistency and I think for Detroit, they kind of got built into, they kind of knew what they were going to expect season in, season out, right? Like when you get this, you know, everybody in life, whenever you have something that's consistent in life, you feel more comfortable about it because you have a routine and you do it, right? Like I'm a big rhythm and routine guy. I wake up, I do the same things I think the same exact principle applies to football, right? Like when you practice with the same coaches, you have a same level of expectation. I think it's fine. Like I think they're going to be fine. I think there might be a little bit of a drop off maybe early on, which may cause the offense to have to throw the ball a little bit more than they might want to. And I think there was a description this afternoon in the Heisman chat that I think perfectly describes it. Like if they're throwing at roughly 510 to 540 pass attempts, would it shock any of us if we got to 600 pass attempts? Probably not. And what does that do for us for fantasy? It's probably better because that means Amon-Ra is going to get more targets. Sam Laporta is going to get more targets.
Exactly. Yep.
J-Mo's going to get more targets. Jahmyr Gibbs, who we all feel is a top 3 running back, is possibly going to get more targets. Like we're not all going to be like, I don't think anybody's going to be sad because
it's not a bad thing if they only win 11 games this year, it's not a bad thing for us by any means. I think they're going to be in a lot more competitive games. They're going to have to throw a lot more, in my opinion.
And while you were talking, I was just kind of checking the FanDuel odds because I like to sometimes make decisions sometimes off of like where the books are telling us, because
that's fair.
The books are pretty sharp when they kind of have an idea, like barring any major health setback, like they kind of know what they're talking about. The Lions are number 2 in the NFC. Yeah. Like they're at plus 550 right behind the Eagles, who are plus 370, I think was the last time I just checked it. Right. And they're already plus 160 to win their division, which is like, for purposes, like the Packers are plus 220, the Vikings are right like in the plus 240 range. Like, so the books are telling us that the Lions are going to be fine. Right. And what I think is going to happen is it's just going to look a little different for us. And you know what? When we look at like the Patriots, they kind of changed when in their dynasty, they were changing, right? The Eagles, even in the last few years, they've kind of had to change their identity a little bit over time with the different offensive coordinators. Like, I don't think that this is really, I don't want to say it's a nothing burger, but I do think it may change how we look at the Lions at the end of the season and be like, oh, they're still really good, but they had to rely a little bit more on Jared Goff than they did Monty and Gibbs in the running game, because the offensive line is not the same as it's been in years past.
Exactly. I mean, but how much does that mean for a guy like Jameson? Does Jameson actually have that breakout year that everyone's been calling for? And, in last year's offense, I don't know if he could have, because there just wasn't that many targets to go around, because Amon-Ra stayed healthy pretty much all year. Laporta was on the field for most of the year. And so and the rushing attack was so good. But this upcoming season, on the other hand, might play out a little bit different. Maybe that defense doesn't play up to potential. If that happens, they're down 14-0. All of a sudden, Jameson gets just even 1 or 2 more targets a game for him is huge. If you could get him just 20 more targets a season, then we will see that big blow up season. And that's, kind of the bets that I'm making more so than the Gibbs and the Amon-Ra. Give me Jameson, give me Laporta going back to what he did his rookie year.
How do you feel about Isaac Tesla? Do you feel like he actually has like a role in the 2025 season, or is this just like a Victor Cruz where he just flashes in preseason and then it's like by mid-September, we never hear about him again?
It's so hard, right? Because how does he get targets right now? I don't know how you could give him 3 targets a game. Even if he's a full-time player, maybe he could get up to 4. But what happens if that allows Jameson to walk? Because the Lions are going to be really up against the cap, not this upcoming season, but in 2027, they have to pay everybody. Gibbs needs to get paid. Laporta is going to get paid. Hutchinson's going to get $45 million a year. They can't keep all these guys. So if Tesla shows enough and that allows Jameson to go, they get a comp pick for it, or maybe they trade him, whatever happens there. I think that's really where he comes into play. So it's not getting the points this season. It's about having him on your team, because the Lions could very easily move on from Jameson sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, as far as LW7 says, 3 targets though is not nothing. No, I mean, it parlayed Tim Patrick into a new deal.
It's
right?
true.
Literally, because I think initially on, I think Tim Patrick might have the starting role, but I could see Tesla pull that away from him if he performs and he does well in the limited opportunities that he does to start the season. And maybe he does carve out a role where, he's a guy that they can depend on, and he's far cheaper than some of the other guys they're going to have to pay for.
All it takes is an injury. It's all it takes with any of these guys.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get on to another storyline that we've had in the last week. Let's talk about the Washington and the San Francisco.
We have to.
We have
it
to
is
do
a
it, right?
podcast, so you have to talk about Washington.
You have to. It would not be a fantasy show. It would not be a mailbag episode if we did not talk about the Washington backfield and the San Francisco backfield. For those who have been stuck under a rock and maybe, or maybe you've been hanging out on the beach watching Hurricane Erin all week long on the East Coast, Brian Robinson was traded to the San Francisco 49ers. So now there is another running back that is in the San Francisco, feels like carnival of running backs. Because if outside of CMC, you got what? Garendo, Mason, not Mason anymore. He got traded. You got B-Rob, you got Garendo, you got Jordan James. I feel like they've had like 2 or 3 others since that have already gotten hurt. Let's talk about San Francisco first. What does B-Rob's arrival do for you from a fantasy perspective with the San Francisco backfield?
For me, it's hard because we know if Christian McCaffrey goes down, in my opinion, B-Rob is going to be the guy that's on the field. Unless it happens early in the season, then Brian Robinson isn't going to have enough time with the team in order to actually get on the field. But let's say worst case, because I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be in for a great season. But let's say worst case, something happens week 10. Having Brian Robinson on your team for the fantasy playoffs is a great move to make. But how much is it going to cost to acquire that? If it's costing me a second to get Christian McCaffrey's maybe backup, then I'm completely out. If I could do it for a third, I'm in. But I think a lot of people who have Brian Robinson now are going to be like, well, Christian McCaffrey could get hurt. Then all of a sudden I could get an easy second for him. So it's one of those two where I would love to have him on my team, but I think just straight up for a draft pick, it's going to be extremely hard. So if you can end up working him into a 2-for-2 deal or a 3-for-3 deal, and he's kind of that throw on piece, you're getting that extra value on your side. That's really how I want to attack that. But like I said, I think I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But, everything we've heard about Christian McCaffrey from this training camp is he looks perfect. There is no issues. There's no lingering effects. He's riding around on a scooter just so he doesn't have to walk anymore that he has to, and so it's just one of those, give me Christian McCaffrey and I'll figure everything else later. But if I have Brian Robinson, I'm offered a second, he's off my team in every league, just like I was saying previous to this trade. I was more than happy to move him for that price. For a third, probably willing to hold out at that point.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dynasty data right now. Shout out to Jeremy and his database. I'm looking at some trades right now. Would you trade your Blake Corum right now to get Brian Robinson in the 2027 fourth?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Blake Corum's a nothing burger to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, here's another one: Brian Robinson in a 2027 third or a 2026 second round pick.
Take the second.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a pretty rough one. It's Brian Rob. It looks like it's a 10 team. It's a 12-by-9.
Oh.
Matthew Stafford or Brian Robinson. Like that must be a bailout, right?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Here's an interesting one: Marvin Mims or Brian Robinson.
Oh, that one's actually really good.
Because right. Because Denver, Marvin Mims played today 100% of the first team snaps.
Right, and it's
That's a tough one.
I keep wanting to say Brian Robinson, but I might as well go with Mims. If I'm like that hesitant each time I want to say Brian Robinson, it's going to be Mims.
I feel like that's one that, like, if I'm in a best ball league, I want to just get off of Brian Robinson. I'll take the Marvin Mims because I feel like I can get probably maybe two spike week games with Marvin Mims. We saw it last year where just like Bo finds him for like 70 yards and you just get that spike. Whereas like Brian Robinson probably has like a really good floor. He's going to get you 6 to 8 points weekly, but he's so capped right now because he's behind CMC that you're just like,
exactly.
I'm just going to keep jamming him in there and it's not really going to do much for me. So that's an interesting one. I probably would take some Marvin Mims or just to maybe diversify a little bit. Let's talk about the Washington backfield, because now there's now Brian Robinson's out of there. That's about 165, 175 carries that now
it's a lot
instantly just opened up, right? So they've got in their backfield, they've got Austin Eckler, who's on the last year of his 2-year deal. And then you have this rookie, JCM, Bill, Corey Krosky-Barrett. Mitch, what do you do? And they still got Jeremy McNichols, and I'm pretty sure they've still, I'm sure they still got Chris Rodriguez too. So it's not exactly like this is a It's not like it's a clear definitive 2-horse race, right? It's probably got some murkiness to it. How are you treating that backfield?
That's the crazy thing to me is like everyone is acting like this is JCM's. It's Bill's backfield, and I don't think it is. He's any passing play. If Austin Eckler's healthy, Austin Eckler's going to be in. Chris Rodriguez is going to get playtime. I really think they're going to end up bringing someone else in. And so for me, it's just so hard for me to pay any of this elevated value for JCM because best case scenario, he's Brian Robinson. We know what Brian Robinson was valued at previously. And so, and like everyone wanted to be, well, yeah, it's the touchdown upside, it's touchdown. Maybe what happens if the Commanders come back to earth a little bit compared to what happened last year? I don't want to piss off Commanders fans, but let's just talk about their offseason, right? Who did they bring in to help their team? Deebo Samuel, who the 49ers were begging to get rid of. They brought in Laramie Tunzel, who the Houston Texans, with the worst offensive line in the league, were like, no, you could have this guy. They get rid of Brian Robinson to go with a seventh round running back and Chris Rodriguez. And it's just like you look at this team, and for me, it's hard to buy into what the front office has done and being like, hey, they're really putting Jaden Daniels in the best position to win this year. Maybe they are, and I could be completely off. I've been wrong on these off-season takes with teams before. But you just look at what they've done, and I'm like, are the Commanders going to be as good as last year? They better hope that Jaden Daniels is better than he was last year because they're going to need him to be. Because this team just on paper does not look fantastic. And I'd even mentioned Terry McLaurin still hasn't even practicing because they won't pay him. And if he's not on the field, how bad does this team actually get if they don't pay him by week one? It's just, to me, this whole team's a little bit weird, but JCM's elevated price is just insane to me.
Yeah, I was just looking. I told you right before we jumped on right here on stage. Does the chat want to guess what JCM's rookie of the year odds are right now? As of right now on FanDuel. I like somebody please just I was kind of you're probably going to think it's a lot shorter than it really should be, but I mean it's kind of crazy because he's tied for 10th. Like he's tied with Jackson Dart, who his price has not moved. Yeah, Ty. Oh, I'm telling you, Ty. It.
There we go. We got a plus 3,000 in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, there it is, right there. It's 25-1.
Yes.
Like we're plus 2,500. Like we're talking like, the only players right now currently that are ahead. Like it's Cam Ward, it's Ashton Genty, which we all kind of like. Okay, those make sense. It's Tyler Warren's in there. You got Tet McMillan at 12-1. You got Travis Hunter, Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka, who's got some steam there. Matthew Golden. And then there is old Ja'Cory Krosky Barrett, who is at 25-1. Like,
yeah, it's literally pissing money away. It really is.
I mean, if you want to make a donation to the books,
yeah, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah. That's a great way to start. Like, I would first off, it's going to be a quarterback driven award. Just go take either take Cam or take Jackson Ward. If you want to sprinkle $1 on Shuck because he's starting, go for it. But it's going to take literally better than Justin Jefferson's rookie season for somebody to knock off Cam Ward.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. The only one that I really think has hope, Genty is kind of there just because he's Genty, but then Jackson Dart would have to just go nuclear. And I know you're a huge Giants fan. I just
not happening.
That's not happening.
Not happening. Like unless Russ falls off the face of planet Earth on week 3, and Jackson Dart turns into the next iteration of Justin Herbert, it ain't happening. It's Cam Ward. Like, yeah, he's ahead of Harvey, Patrick. He is ahead. Like RJ Harvey, Ray Garvin special, RJ Harvey, number one truther. We're all big fans in the Destination Debbie Discord. Yeah. Patreon.com/allcast. He is behind old Bill after 3 preseason games. Like, want to talk about like it is just It's nuts, and here's poor Eckler being invisible. Like Austin Eckler's not going away.
He's not.
He's not. They're paying him, and he's going to be on the field because he catches the football. Like we saw, he has a clear rapport with Jayden Daniels. As long as he can keep his brain from getting concussed, he's going to be on the field. He's probably going to see anywhere between 6 and 8 receptions a week. Like he's that good still. And then they're probably just going to rotate between Chris Rodriguez, JCM. Exactly. Like JCM will probably be the between the 20 guy. Chris Rodriguez will be short yardage and goal line dude. And everybody's going to be sitting here with their JCMs who are like, I'm holding for a first. Like it's Dameon Pierce 2.0. And you're just going to get a dude who's got to
plays out exactly like you just said. Exactly like you said. Austin Eckler passing game role. Chris Rodriguez is the red zone guy. JCM is between the 20s. Which guy is between, is the midfield guy? What's the one back I don't want in that scenario? It's JCM. Like, if you were like, hey, this is how it's going to play out, I'm like, well, I know the one guy that I don't want, and it would be him.
Yeah. It's just, and it's nothing against him. I hope the kid goes out and balls out and has, Brian Robinson stats, right? 150 touches, gets, 8 to 10 carries each week, has 800, 900 yards, and maybe he falls into a couple touchdowns. Like, I hope the best for the kid, but just in terms of realistic, fantasy output and just in terms of what we want as a fantasy community, I think there's a lot of people he's got a better chance of being Kamani Vidal than he does Dameon Pierce.
Exactly.
In year one. 100%. And I think that's just a reality. And I think it's being accelerated because Brian Robinson is no longer in the fold. Yeah. That's all it is. If he was still in the fold, everybody would be like, yeah, we'll just hope and pray that he gets on the field. So yeah, that was a good question. That was a good, good opener there. I need to take a break, really, but no, I'm just kidding. But Roy G NFL does talk about one of our patrons here. How do you ward off getting dynasty drained? Am I in too many leagues? Which, Roy, you may be in too many leagues, or do I just need to take a break? And I think the question was around the concept of just many of us are getting to the point where our leagues are starting to fire up. Guys that maybe are not around nearly as much are now all of a sudden coming back online because it's football season, it's point scoring season. Maybe the contenders that don't have draft picks don't really care about the NFL draft, don't care about rookies. Now all of a sudden I got to worry about points, and everybody's throwing deals out there, whether they're good or bad. But how do you ward off getting dynasty drained there, Mitch?
So for me, I've never really hit the point to where, hey, I don't like playing dynasty, or I have too much of it. Oh, I don't like doing this aspect of it. I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years at this point, and I still love it. But I am worried about this upcoming season. The reason for that is I used to have about 50% of my teams on MFL, 50% of my teams on Sleeper, and it worked out fine for setting lineups. What I am finding out, and I love Sleeper because it's free, but going through your leagues quickly on that app I'm in 50 leagues now, just on that app alone. When you get in that many leagues, the app just does not work that great. So I am actually very worried that my 30 to 45 minute lineup time that it took me last year is all of a sudden going to take me an hour and 15 minutes. And that will start to piss me off to the point to where I'll be like, you know what? I'm in too many leagues for the sole fact of it's just taking too much time out of my Sunday compared to what it used to. But I think a big thing with not getting dynasty drained is just have your team set up prior to the season. If I'm in a rebuild, there are teams to where I'm like, I don't need to worry about this team for the next 11 weeks because there might be a play or two I need to move, hopefully at some point, but hopefully I've already taken care of that in August. So now for the rest of the time, I don't have to look at that team once. I'll set the lineup. I will, if I have to play players on their buys, that's not my fault because I'm putting my best team forward. It's not my fault that my team sucks. Well, I mean, it is my fault, but we go from there. Then what I actually do is I'll do this on Sleeper too, is I move the teams that I'm contending on higher up on the list, the teams that I'm not contending on lower on the list. And so I'm always seeing the ones that I'm contending on very quickly. And then I'm like, I could do those. And then as I move down, then I know it's the teams that probably aren't having a realistic chance at a championship. And then I could kind of look at those a different way. But I think a big way on not getting drained is just being okay if people also don't accept your trades. I think that's huge because I think a lot of people are like, I'm sending out trades. No one's, accepting. I just think the new age dynasty player, they're not huge into countering. They love getting an opening offer. And if it's good, they'll accept it. And if not, they'll just reject and go about their day and wait for the next offer to come in. So a lot of it is just being able to step away and being like, you know what? I did what I could for my team this week. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would say too, like we have a great community.
Yes.
I gave the link. Link is below in the description. Like we have a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions and a lot of, we micro analyze. And I think when I say I say the larger fantasy community micro analyzes every single piece of data. Right? Like case in point, JCM didn't play today. Chris Rodriguez ran today. But it was like, oh man, JCM to the moon. But nobody really looked at the detail of, well, he was in a non-contact practice jersey this week. So maybe he was actually nicked up and they just didn't want to play in. But I think we do that to an extent with in-season dynasties. I think this is how we get trained, is because this exact quote that's down here, right, is taking time. We don't take time off. And then you catch yourself on the app multiple times every single day. Like, I love you folks. I genuinely love you folks. But there needs to be a day during the week in the football season where you just don't really look at the app that much. Like whether it's Tuesday, whether it's Friday, maybe it's Monday, because you don't want to watch your Monday night football matchups, but like you don't need to be looking at your team every single waking hour of the moment. Like there's probably like a 0.001% of folks that are actually like playing fantasy football for a living. Most of us have other jobs, right? Mitch talked about it. He's got a phone call. He's getting phone calls on Saturday nights. My phone is literally blowing up right now with emails. Like it's, we all got work life, and sometimes we got to find a balance in work, right? Between family and work. And I think the same thing can be said. I'm not trying to be like a self-help book here tonight, but like the same thing has to happen too with our fantasy football, like our hobby balance, right? Where we're not taking to the point where literally we're like overcritical of our teams, because sometimes variance just happens, right? You could put the best team on paper. We see them all the time. You guys see them on Dynasty Theory. You see some of the best roster. We're like, dude, how is that even like, how is your league even like existing? Because you have so many guys. You have, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Trey McBride. Like you guys have all these things. And it's like, how is your team losing? But then it happens, and two of those guys get hurt, and all of a sudden variance bites you in the butt, and that team is, what you thought was like a slam dunk top 3 team is now doesn't have its pick, and it's probably a lottery pick. And so it's just like, I think we've all got to find like moments to like recharge the battery so that you don't become drained in season.
Ty has a good one in here too. He said, what will kill you is checking during the games and not watching football. That's one. I do not check I used to do it all the time. I don't look up anything fantasy wise until the game's over now. I know there's some late scratches that I have missed because I won't go in there and be like, oh, hey, did I have that person in because he's a late scratch, put someone else in there. But I'm completely okay with that because I want to still enjoy the game of football more so than I want to enjoy sleeper updates nonstop. Hey, this player scored this play. I don't care. I'm already watching the games. We're talking about it in the Discord, in the game day chat. So I already know what's happening. And I have so many leagues that one player scoring is probably helping me in one and killing me in 10 others. And so I just think a great way to go about it is just like Ty said, just watch the games that we love and get the players that you like on your teams. I think that's a huge one. Is I know there's, hey, I don't want to get too much of one player, a said player. If I could have 100% Jahmyr Gibbs on 50 dynasty leagues, I want 100%. Is that possible? No, but it's what I want. I mean, he's one of my favorite players in the NFL. Give me the guys I like to root for. I'm very much like, give me the players that I like more so than like, oh, hey, if I have 100% of Gibbs, I should probably go down and get 20% of Saquon Barkley. I love Barkley too. I just personally like Gibbs more. And so for that reason, it's a lot of it is just making sure that you're playing fantasy the way that you like to. Because I think people get so into the weeds about it, right? And it's, hey, how do I have to win this week? There's 1,000 ways to win in Dynasty. There isn't one set way. It's productive struggle is a great way. Just flat out getting old veterans in a startup is a great way to win early. There are so many good ways, and just find the way that you like to build and play that way. Because there's not just a set in stone ways like, hey, I'm going to, last year I told you the 10 players who are going to dominate. I'm going to tell you the 10 this year. I mean, that stuff, it doesn't work. So just play Dynasty the way that you like to, in my opinion. I think that helps out a ton.
Yeah, just have fun with it. The proxy is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, put it away.
Yep.
If it is still fun, keep doing it and do it until it doesn't become fun anymore, because we all do love. I mean, that's the reason why there's 300 plus people watching us right now is because they love the game, right? They want to see NFL preseason. They're watching NFL preseason right now, and college football is on. And before you know it, enjoy it, because we're going to look back and in a couple months, we're not going to have it again for 8 more.
Exactly.
And we're going to go back to endless mocks and rookie content. It just, the cycle continues. It's just enjoy these few short months that we actually have football games. All right, let's get into another question. Let's do this one, because this one's fun, because we're getting into roster cut down season. But how do you navigate? Sean asks, how do you navigate the waivers this time of year with league cut downs, NFL cut downs, etc.? What are the best types of players to stash on rosters at the end of your bench to start the season? So we're into the point where Dynasty rosters maybe expanded in the offseason to 37, 35, and now you got to get them down into the low 30s. What are you doing right now, Mitch?
Cut the wide receivers. Because the truth is, like, these fringe wide receivers that we hope are going to be good, 99.9% time end up being nothing. And even when they end up doing something, they're still not worth anything. And so I will keep running backs, of course. Give me a couple backup quarterbacks that I like. Give me 1 or 2 of the rookie. I have a lot of AJ Barner on my teams right now that I'm very happy that I kept last year, because it was just one of those, well, if anything happens to Noah Fant, then I'm going to be okay. And it's just those kind of guys. But no, and I mean, this goes for the NFL cut downs as well. I don't care what wide receiver has been cut and if he gets picked up by another team, because I could pretty much guarantee you that a wide receiver switching teams right before the season is never going to be good that year, because just good wide receivers changing teams, it's hard for them to be good when they change in March. You give these fringe guys who are cut and you want them to give you like, hey, week 6 scoring potential, it just doesn't happen. I will literally pick up anybody else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some of the same. I'm trying to do what Eric's talking about. If I can, spam for sale for picks. Like,
yes,
if I can throw a bunch of these dudes, especially if you got taxi leagues or you got ability to league IR them, right? Like, if I can send you 3 or 4 of them and you give me back even fab,
anything, I completely agree.
Like, a lot of people will try to throw you, like Eric All and, name another 5th round rookie pick and give me a 4th rounder. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, give me some liquid asset that I could get fab, because we all know that our waiver wires are probably flush with guys that we don't need right this second. But the second, like, somebody gets hurt, Jameis Winston, who's not on a dynasty roster, is getting scooped, or Tanner McKee, who probably nobody is rostering right now, because why would you have to back up to Jalen Hurts? Jalen gets hurt and has a high ankle sprain. He's out for a month, and everybody's racing and throwing their 100% fab. And if you have that extra bucks, like, for sure, like, those are the kind of things I'm doing with those guys.
How do you attack fab in season? Are you empty your clip week 2 for some guy and just spend it all so you don't have to worry about it? Or do you end up waiting for like the week 10 hopeful playoff? Or are you just slowly nickel and diming the whole way through the season?
I think it really depends on my team. Honestly, it really depends on the team. It really depends on the direction of my team. Like if I have like a contender and I want to still have Fab, like I'm actively trying to get it from the rebuilders. But then I'm also trying to like I'm also in the process trying to like spend it, if that makes sense. But I don't want to blow it all, because if I blow it all, then I don't have anything like later on. Or so then I have to start using my draft picks.
Yeah, for me, I used to always be hey, I'm going to use it the first 3 weeks, and I can't pick anybody up if I want to. And so then I'm more than happy just to spend it on whatever player. But what I've noticed is teams that I'm winning more on, I am waiting till later in the season to where you're getting those running backs to where they're shutting down their starting running back because he's injured. They picked up, let's just say, a Dameon Pierce off of waivers because everyone else is injured. Then you can start that guy for 3 or 4 weeks. Those are the guys that I'm looking for at the end of the season, more so than hey, let me get Jameis Winston now week 3 when he's going to be benched week 7. So maybe he helps me for that short period. But if not, then he's worth absolutely nothing by week 8, which we see with almost all of these quarterbacks at some point that everyone wants to spend money on. They're great for 3 weeks. And then they're terrible. They get benched for whoever, Kyle Allen, whoever the backup is.
Yeah, I think that's, if I'm like on a rebuilder and I know that there's a player that is probably going to have an extended period, like 6 to 8 weeks, right? It's not a one. It's not like, oh, they were in the, like Josh Allen goes in the concussion protocol and Kyle, it's one of those, like, if I know that somebody's going to be out for an extended period of time, I'll be more willing to blow the fab budget on somebody like that than I would be willing to, like, okay, you know what, Gardner Minshew's in there for a week because Patrick Mahomes is out for a week with a hamstring pull. Like, because what is anybody going to give me for Gardner Minshew, right? Like, he's not like, everybody knows what he is. They're not going to give me anything more than a couple bucks, or I might get a fourth if I'm lucky. Like, even if he was to go for 325 and 3 touchdowns, like, nobody's going to be giving seconds for him anymore. Like, he is who he is, right? But if it's something like a Tanner McKee where it's a season, like, I remember Cooper Rush, like, people were going nuts for him, like, because Dak was out. And so it's like, it's got to be one of those situations where it's like, okay, that's when it's worth it. So I think that's how I would attack. That's how I kind of attack it. And it just depends on what kind of squad I have too at the moment. All right. Let's get to another question from T-Betsker 5405. What's your process when you have a team that's solely veteran? So let's just assume that most of your team is 28 years and older. You got one of those teams that just on the Savage FF.
It happens.
It happens. It's just out there, right? Like, there's nothing on the left-hand side. It's all on the right-hand side with contender value, right? So you don't have you have no top 25. This sounds like a Cody Smith special.
This is
right. Like, this is like you got Russ Wilson, you got Geno Smith at quarterback. Are you just riding it out and just letting variance happen? Or are you trying to, like, just look for the window pockets in season to try and take advantage of, maybe, hey, all right, there's a couple quarterbacks down. Maybe I can trade this Geno Smith and turn it into like a Jackson Dart. Maybe I can get an upside kind of thing. Or are you just letting it ride out?
It's tough. This is one to where I almost see how it's going within the season. Like, if somehow with a team like this, if you go 4-0, 5-0, it makes me want to push a little bit more. And if that's not the case, these guys are really hard to move in September and October. But if you are in leagues with no trade deadlines, this is where you make your money. It's playoffs are happening. Even if I'm the 6th seed and like, hey, I have the potential for the title, I don't care. I will still sell out my whole team, because I think the no trade deadline leagues just give you so much potential to move off of a Devontae Adams, a Derrick Henry, to where, I mean, right now it's so hard to move off those guys. Even though 11 teams in the league think they're going to contend and win the championship, people still won't really want to pay in order for that to happen. But come November, you have a team that's, seeded number 4, maybe has a little bit of running back depth. If they have that shiny first round pick there, you offer him Derrick Henry and some backup tight end just to help give him over the push. I make so many more deals that way. And I do my damnedest not to put a contender tax on top of it, because I always try to make the deal as fair as possible. So that hopefully in the future, when I'm in that position, that person isn't trying to nickel dime me. It doesn't always work out that way. That's always what I try to do. And so if I'm a team, like I said, that was losing a little bit, that's how I attack it. But if I'm, 4 wins, 5 wins into the season, and it's looking like, hey, maybe I could get a bye. If I'm getting a bye, I'm pushing more in. Those buys are so critical in my view. So if I get off to a hot start, I will try to continue that for the rest of the way, even with an older team. Older team with a title sure makes the next 3 years a lot better when you have that buy-in already covered.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's we always talk about the value sometimes in Dynasty, but what also is really nice when you win. Like it's really nice when you win, and when you win a lot. And I think you're right. Like I think it's one of those, like, you ride it out depending on what your team's like what it turns into, right? Like the 3-3 team, yeah, you're probably looking for the value pocket, but for 5-0, like it's really hard to like psychologically say that's a bad idea. Like it's bad idea to pivot, and it's very it's very hard to do that. So there's a question that I got in the background, and I totally forgot to put it up there, and I only see it because our friend Terrell is here. And Terrell asked me offline, and so we'll ask the question: what's the weirdest format league you're in?
Okay, I'm not in it anymore, but this is a different one, and I'm just going to say this because it's honestly my favorite league I have ever been in my life. I was lucky enough to be in it for 2 years. Good friend does a Survivor redraft league, and so, but what it is, it's based off the game Survivor, but you have to draft a team, and how your teams do with your tribe affects things. But the tribe dynamic, like the socializing part of the game, is huge. Like he breaks you off, now it's in Discord, to where you can only talk within your Discord. You're able to DM each other, like you go off and you have your private chat, but the producers can see all that. And so then on Wednesday nights they have tribal, they do all this stuff, you get voted off. Like it is so much fun, because fantasy is just kind of a part of it. But like there's ways to where you could get, for anyone who's watched Survivor, you get like the immunity aisle, so you're safe and you don't have to let anybody know, but the producers know. That is by far, it's Rocky on Twitter has it. If anyone's wondering, let me know and I'll get you the link, because I know he's looking for like I think 1 or 2 more people right now. But that is by far the funnest league that I play in. And I've made it to the finals 1 year, got voted out because I went to Disneyland. So everyone was like, hey, he's not talking. So they voted me out. I'm like, it's not my fault. My family won't let me be on my phone all the time. But honestly, it was by far my favorite league I've ever been in.
Yeah, I would have to say we've got some really anytime you put Ray Garvin and Scott Connor together, first off, it's fantasy magic. But like the leagues they create are some of the most diabolical leagues, because they make you think in so many different ways. And we've had 2 that are Heisman leagues. One is the Royal Rumble League. So it's 14 team. It's 2 copy, 14 teams, so two divisions. And it's start 11, 25-man roster. So you have these thin benches with really long, with these like start 11, and there's 14 teams. I'll never forget the draft. And it's only because it was a slow clock and it was a 24-hour auction draft.
Oh,
and
Lord.
There was like, you were sitting there for hours. We would sit in our voice chat, patreon.com/all guests. We would literally sit in voice chat. And there would be times where there'd be a guy and it'd be like Ty DeClaire. He'd be like, listen, I don't think you really, that's a steal. And so you're sitting there with like, and you couldn't put new guys onto the run, like out until the 24 hours. Like, yes, this was peak pandemic season, where literally like we were just sitting there going nuts. But I think the other league that we have that I think is really fun is our heroes versus villains. That's 3 copies. There's 12 teams. There's 36 teams. There's a relegation pool to it all, right? So if you fall in the bottom, so like if you fall in the bottom 12 of the victory points in the top, so now we're in year 2. So if you're in the top 24 and you fall in the bottom 3, you get relegated down to the Reli land. But if you're a top 3, it's kind of like soccer, right? So it's like top 3 come up, bottom 3 go down. And if somebody leaves the league, then another guy from the relegation lands up. The relegation pool has like its own little like small pool of cash, but the rest of it is up in the top. But the scoring is so stinking wild. Like there's double bonuses everywhere. Tight ends, if you get like 120-yard catch, it's like 20 fantasy points. So every tight end becomes like guys that are like down the board, like Hunter, like Gunnar Helm is going to be a guy that nobody in fantasy wants, but he's going to make like 1 catch for the Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he's going to have like 26 fantasy points and he's going to win somebody a week. And just because you're holding on to a guy like Gunnar Helm. And it's really fun. Like Scott and Ray really built really fun leagues to really trying to not only keep engagement, but just make you think, right? I think like those are, when I look at like, when you're talking about the Survivor League and I'm talking about the leagues I'm in, like I think the one thing that's makes them our favorite is probably the engagement, right? And I think that's the biggest thing when you're thinking about like your favorite leagues out there. Like it's probably your favorite league because it's engaged. It's not just 12 or 14 or 16 players where literally nobody's doing anything. Like I'm in a 10-team home league and there's so many different rules for engagement. Like we have to talk every single day or you get charged like a tax, which goes into like this, because we do a live draft and that money goes into a whole pot. And so it's like those leagues are so much fun. Let's take some of the questions.
To speak real quick, speak on your point. I'm in a 60-team league that's like the 60. One you're talking about, to where there's relegation. So there's like the gold cup, a silver cup, a bronze cup, all the money's in the gold, depending on how you finish is the cup you play in for the upcoming season. Like I would never commission a league like that, but honestly, for like the amount of fun that it is, that league is really cool. Only when you're in the gold cup. When you lose and you go down to the bronze, it's not nearly as fun. But I do really like those relegation leagues.
Yeah, relegation leagues are fun. If you're involved in one, they're a lot of fun. Let's do some quick hitters on some of the questions that came in through the chat before I give you the inevitable final question I'm sure you know is coming. But would you rather Ray Davis or JCM for the season?
JCM. It's just the value is so much higher. It doesn't matter what Ray Davis does. JCM will be valued higher.
JCM will be valued. All right, here we go. 12-team, half PPR, start 11. Caleb, Garrett Wilson, Egbuka, Spitty, Addison, and Gino. Man, that's a big trade. Or Brock Purdy, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Tony Pollard, Rashad Bateman, and a 2026 second. There's a lot.
This trade's huge. Purdy, Caleb's pretty much a wash value-wise. Egbuka and Smitty probably is better than the rest of everything outside of Amon-Ra. Then you get Garrett Wilson and Addison on top of it. I hate it, but I would go with the Caleb side. But I don't. Oh, I didn't even see. No, AJ Brown's still there.
There's still AJ Brown just lurking over there.
Okay, never mind. I'm going with the AJ Brown side. Without AJ Brown, I would definitely go with the other. AJ Brown is definitely the flip on that.
Yeah, the old 18-part trade on the YouTube rate. Yes, it definitely got us all staring there. Ty. Curtis asks, 12-team start 10 tier PPR. He's trading away Lamar, Nico, Scattaboo, Aaron Jones, and he's getting back Jordan Love, Bucky Irving, T. Higgins, a 26 and a 27 mid to late first. So 2 firsts.
Lamar by a lot, to be honest. I mean, you add a first onto Love, I still want Lamar. You add a first on top of Bucky, I still want Nico. And yeah, you still have T on the other side, but you're still getting Nico and Lamar, who are the 2 best pieces in that trade. So I just want those 2 studs.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Lamar for the 2 firsts is pretty fair. Or Lamar for Love in the 2 firsts, that's probably the right price. So then it's Nico, Scattaboo, and Aaron Jones or Bucky and T. And I just, even in a start 10, I'm getting 2 hammers.
Yeah.
Our friend DS, he did say a lot, but this is a good question. What do we talk if we're doing the same thing with Goff? What are we doing with Baker this year? Because his consistency means having a different offensive coordinator every single year that he's been in the league, and I'd be more worried if he had the same offensive coordinator as last year. So what do we do? What are you doing with Baker?
The one thing about Baker is I think he is the one of the quarterbacks in the position to where you say 600 targets. Would I be shocked if it's 675, 700 at the end of the season? Absolutely not. So I just think there's so much volume there at this point that it's hard for me to move off of him, because I think even worst case scenario, okay, the team isn't good. He's going to throw for a lot. So what really happens? Is he going to be bad enough to not be on the field? No, I don't think that's in the realm of possibility. So for me, it's I won't move off of him for a lesser price, even if you're like, oh, Godwin's a little banged up. Mike Evans is a little, is Mike Evans. So he always gets banged up at some point during the season with the shoulder or whatever. I want Baker. I want Goff. And I know they're not rushing quarterbacks, but I just think they're going to score very well this year. And I don't have to worry about their value going into next year either.
Yeah, I actually have a team with Goff and Baker. So I'm like,
love it.
We're just gonna ride that ship, and
we'll
and
be
hope
fine.
We'll be all right.
Yep.
But let's wrap up with the final question of the night, which has been kind of the question that I've kind of pressed everybody with it that's come on and jumped on, and a question's coming. So what, Mitch? What is your bold prediction for the 2025 season?
Bold.
2 weeks ago, Ty DeClaire gave us that TJ Hawkinson's going to be, up there in the top 3.
He's gonna be terrible. Yep. No. I mean, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go. JCM is not gonna be a top 10 running back. Is that bold? I know it's pushing it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So it really depends on how bold I want to go with this, right? But I will tell you. All right. Bold. Drake May's a top 5 dynasty quarterback going into next season.
Ooh.
Top 5. So that means he's passing Burrow. I'm saying bold. We're going bold here, because I don't think top 7 is bold enough, because I think if he has a good year, I think he's already going to be top 7, top 8.
Ooh.
Because I don't think there's a lot of guys. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to cheat for anyone who is not in the Discord. That means you don't have access to John Bauer's tiers. John Bauer's tiers are the best tiers in the business. So you want to join the Discord just so you could get those. But let me give you the players he has. He has Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then it's Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. Do I think Drake May could definitely jump over the last 3? Yes. And then it's, can you see a Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, or Jalen Hurts dropping a little bit? We could definitely see Patrick Mahomes, because we've seen that already. Oh, well, I didn't know Drake May was quarterback 6, to be honest with you. Hold on.
But I'll say this. But I would say
Fantasy Calc has him as 10 right now, so KTC is just KTC.
Well, I would say KTC is QB6, but can you even get KTC? Can you get KTC prices for Drake May?
I don't.
Right? Can you get QB6? Can you trade that Drake May for Caleb Williams and a plus? Can you trade that Drake May for whoever is right at QB8, QB9, QB10 on KTC and a plus? If you can't, right, then he's not QB6. He's probably closer to Fantasy Calc QB10. And this is not me taking it out on you. Watch out for my boy JJ. Like, I get it. As a test, right? As a test to it is like, can you even get QB6 prices?
All right, then we will go. He is a top 5 startup pick in dynasty drafts next year.
Oh,
okay, completely takes the whole.
Now he's putting the chips all in.
That's right.
All in
That's
push.
Right. It's what we would do with a quarterback. I mean, look at, we did it with Stroud. We're doing it with Daniels. I would not be shocked if one of these second-year guys or someone else jumps up in that mix.
All right, I like that. That's
there we
that's
go.
Spicy.
That's
bold. Spicy. That is bold. Yeah, that's bold. Because if it pays off, and those folks who have Drake May shares right now, like this time next year, people are gonna be like, "Oh, so what do I trade that Drake May for? Can I get
a lot of Drake May?
can I trade my Drake May and get insert quarterback plus?
Can you get 30-year-old Lamar Jackson?
Can I get?
We'll find out.
You'll find out. We will find out. But Mitch, thank you so much. Tell the people what you're up to right now, and what you're doing leading into the season.
So right now, Dynasty Theory every Monday night. Then I'm on Trending Fantasy that also drops on DD Fantasy on the YouTube channel on Thursdays. This upcoming season, We won't be doing trending fantasy during the season. We'll have something else going on instead. But Dynasty Theory is going to move to Tuesday nights, so we're not having to compete with Monday Night Football. Really excited for that. But I just want to thank everyone in the chat. I say this every single time. These shows would be terrible if we didn't have the chat going. You guys make it awesome. So I 100% appreciate you taking your time, especially on a Saturday night, to come out here and watch us. So just thank you, and please keep watching. Like and comment. It absolutely helps us out a ton. So thank you, and watch next
absolutely.
week. 2 weeks. Watch in 2 weeks.
This is the last 2 weeks. This is the last 2 week skip, because I'm going to give you the special announcement is that start on September 6th. I'm bringing back the guy who started the Saturday night mailbag with me, right? I'm bringing back the guy, one Shane Manila. We're bringing Shane Says back on. We're going to have some fun in 2 weeks. And then after that, the season starts. So the plan is for Saturday night mailbag show to continue in the season. We will go to every Saturday night. Might have a new time to kind of make sure we all get through our college football fix. But the Saturday night mailbag is here to stay, friends. Thanks to you. Thanks to you, the folks who stay in the comments. Thanks to those who comment afterwards. Make sure you like and subscribe to the page. Make sure, if you want to continue these conversations, we had a lot of really good questions, but I'm sure we'll continue these conversations. Come jump in. I know I said it a couple times, but patreon.com/allgas or ddfantasyfootball.com. Links are below. Just come join the community. Try it out for a month. If you don't like it, cancel. But I guarantee you, once you see the game day chat and all the overreactions that go on in there in week 1, or if you jump into the DD GOAT tier and you come hang out with Mitch, myself, Ray, Scott, Shane, it's the voice chat is like nothing else we have in the fantasy community. Like Mitch can tell you, it is Monday through Friday. There's dudes in there as early as 7 a.m. Yes. They're in there until sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, then they try to wake up the next morning, but they're talking fantasy, and we're talking trades, we're talking theory, we're talking the next ways to get ahead. So until next time, again, thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks with Shane. Leave your comments, leave your questions. If you're watching this back, leave your comments, leave your questions. Mitch and I will try to answer them. And go check out the new All Gas Trade Show. It just literally dropped while we were here live. So go watch Ty, go watch Gabe, go see what trades are being down. We're out. Peace.